Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Welcome everyone to the SCD conference call. Today we have Angela Cechetto of Grey Wolf Animal Health. Grey Wolf trades on the Venture Exchange under the symbol WOLF. This is a new company. This is a company that we've spoken about in the forums and online a little bit, but this is our first chance to hear directly from Angela. So Angela, welcome. You've got a presentation, so I'm just going to hand it over to you and then we'll follow up with some questions.
Sounds good. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us to learn more about Grey Wolf Animal Health. Before I begin, I would also like to thank Small Cap Discoveries for hosting this event, providing an opportunity for small companies like ours to share our story to current and future investors and supporters. The next couple of slides are just the forward-looking statement slides. So Grey Wolf Animal Health was founded in 2015 by Dr. Ian Sandler with the mission to provide innovative products to vets, clinics, and pets across Canada. And this continues to be our focus today. So in order for veterinarians to provide the best care to their patients, they require a wide variety of products. So you may be taking your pet to the vet for a routine health and wellness exam or non-emergency procedure, or you could be rushing your dog to the vet for an emergency treatment because they just ate the sock that you left on the living room floor or that chocolate bar that is sitting out on the coffee table. And so vet clinics are really unique in that they are the doctor's office, hospital, and pharmacy all rolled into one office space. And Grey Wolf is one of the only animal health companies in Canada that offers a full range of products to veterinary clinics. So we're essentially a one-stop shop for vets and clinics. So we have a Health Canada approved prescription pharmaceutical portfolio that covers innovative and generic medications for chronic conditions such as hypothyroidism, as well as acute drugs like anesthetics that are used in surgeries performed daily in the clinic, or pain medication. We also offer custom medications so that vets and physicians can tailor the format and dose to better care for their patients. Because if you think about it, at 9 o'clock in the morning, a vet could be taking care of a newborn kitten. At 10 o'clock, they could be seeing a Great Dane. But that afternoon, a rural vet could be out in the paddock seeing an 800-pound horse. And so veterinarians are one of the only healthcare professionals that can both prescribe and dispense medications for either office or home use as they're caring for their patients. We also have a non-prescription portfolio that includes low-risk Health Canada approved nutraceuticals for acute GI upset, behavior and anxiety, and joint or liver health. And all of these supplements can be used at home in acute and chronic conditions, and they're available for purchase in the front shop of the clinic. So this supports, again, both clinics as well as pets and pet owners. And on top of that, we round out our portfolio with consumables, and these are medical pet shirts for wearing after surgery, wound care dressings, needles, syringes. All of these products are used on a daily basis in a clinic as vets perform surgeries and procedures. And over the last few years, Grey Wolf has focused on building a diversified animal health company. And so the animal health industry has shown itself to be resilient in the face of both recession and pandemic challenges, with household spending on pets and veterinary services growing year over year. And this is driven largely by the humanization of pets and increased millennial ownership. We launched commercial operations in January of 2019, and since then we have achieved strong organic growth. This has been supported by the launch of 9 new product portfolios in the last 4 years, and we have breathed new life into both new and established brands by implementing an integrated sales and marketing strategy that's targeted pet owners, vets, and clinics with messages around the benefits of our products and how they can help provide better care for their patients. We have also completed 2 accretive acquisitions in the last 4 years. Both of these acquisitions were strategic in transforming the company by expanding our commercial footprint into the companion animal and equine markets, as well as adding new products to our portfolio. And finally, we've been busy executing on our growth strategy, but we continue to have a solid financial position. And so as such, we are a cash flow positive company, and we have a solid balance sheet to support future growth initiatives. As I previously stated, the animal health industry has shown itself to be resilient in the face of both recession and pandemic challenges. And so according to Statistics Canada, household spending on pets and veterinary services has grown year over year at a CAGR of almost 7% to $12.8 billion in 2022. And so for everybody on this call, you either have a pet or maybe you have 2 pets. At the very minimum, you know somebody in your immediate circle of family or friends who has a pet. I mean, it's not far that we have to go down the street before we're bumping into that neighbor that's out walking their dog or maybe even their cat. And so we are increasingly looking towards pets for our social well-being. And millennials are leading the way with this, with an estimated 1/3 of pet adoptions in the last couple of years going to millennials as they're choosing pets over children in that early adulthood phase. I mean, long gone are the days when the dog sleeps out in the outhouse or outside in the yard in that doghouse. Like today, pets live indoors, they're sleeping in our beds, they're eating well. I mean, they have become a vital member of our family, and we're known as the pet parent. And so this humanization of pets has led to us spending more on the health and wellness of our beloved 4-legged friend at any age. But it also means that pet owners are spending more on therapeutics when their pets get sick or aging, because we don't want to see a family member suffer. And another emerging trend that we're seeing is this increased need for medications. So if you've ever tried to give your dog or cat a pill, you know that you're in for a fight. And as I mentioned on our first slide, patients for a vet can vary in weight from a few pounds to 800 pounds. And so increasingly vets are turning towards customizing dose and format as a way to better treat their patient, but also to support the pet parent who has to deliver that medication. And what we see throughout all of this is that vets remain the trusted voice and that central figure in the ecosystem of pets care. And so with these favorable tailwinds, we expect the industry is going to continue to grow. And so our focus continues to be on organic growth. We have not tapped out on the growth potential within our current portfolio, as there's still an opportunity to increase the number of clinics as well as the order size of our products that are being purchased. And as our story has evolved over the last 4 years, we've demonstrated a track record of commercial success, and we've become a more interesting partner for those that are looking to enter the Canadian marketplace. And so we also believe there is an opportunity to in-license and acquire products to launch through our existing commercial platform. And finally, on the organic growth side, we also see a potential for new custom compounded formulations across the broader animal health market. Our secondary focus is on growing by strategic acquisitions, which complement our existing business and support our expansion into new channels and new species. And so we will continue to be judicious in the use of our resources when it comes to reviewing and executing on these opportunities. So we have come a long way since Grey Wolf was co-founded by Dr. Ian Sandler and Bloom Burton in 2015. And for those of you who may not know, Dr. Sandler is an entrepreneurial practicing veterinarian who's focused on companion animals for over 25 years. Shortly after he graduated from the Ontario Veterinary College, he got together with a group of colleagues and he started the Ontario Veterinary Group, which is one of the first corporate consolidators in Canada. And over 20 years, they grew to 8 clinics and became one of the largest purchasers of pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and therapeutic diets in Canada. They successfully exited to VCA in 2014. And in 2015, Dr. Sandler got together with Bloom Burton and started Grey Wolf with the mission to bring to market products that meet the unmet need of vets, pets, and clinics across Canada. And so our early years were really focused on filling the pipeline, shepherding products through that Health Canada approval process. And then at the end of 2018, we completed our first acquisition when we acquired VHS. And VHS is a full-scale animal health company that had a commercial platform, which included a distribution and sales team, as well as a portfolio of established pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and consumable products that were being sold into vet clinics across Canada. In the 4 years since that acquisition, Grey Wolf has launched 9 product portfolios through this existing commercial platform. And 5 of those products happened in the last 2 years, with our most recent launch in April of 2023. And so we have continued to support clinics, vets, and pets across Canada with new products. In 2021, we completed our second acquisition when we acquired Tritina Pharmacy, which is a privately owned compounding pharmacy. This acquisition doubled the size of Grey Wolf and expanded our commercial footprint into a new species, which is the equine market, and it added a whole new product portfolio of customized medications. And finally, at the end of last year, we listed on the TSX Venture under the trading symbol Wolf. And so we have been busy, and it's been a busy couple of years, but we continue to really be excited by the opportunities that we're seeing in the marketplace for both our products as well as our company. So Grey Wolf is one of the only animal health companies in Canada to be backed by a vet's perspective. We're founded, as I said, by Dr. Ian Sandler, who continues to provide us with practical insights into products, treatment algorithms, kind of what actually happens in a clinic when vets are treating patients. We have a differentiated and broad product portfolio of over 25 products, spanning pharmaceutical, nutraceuticals, custom medications, and consumables that support vets and pets. We have an established commercial infrastructure, and our distribution network includes relationships with buying groups and corporate groups, enabling us to get our products into clinics coast to coast. We also have a modern facility for formulating and making custom medications, which are shipped nationally. And finally, we have a strong track record of obtaining new product approvals, launching new products, and growing our established brands. And we have an experienced sales and marketing team that targets clinics nationally with products and messages focused on the benefit of the product and how they can actually help veterinarians provide better care. And as we've built out our sales and marketing team and strategy, we have seen growth in both new and established brands over the last few years. And the next couple of slides are just some examples of what we've done in that space. And so the first example I'd like to share is Medical Pet Shirt Portfolio, which has been on the market now for over 7 years. And the Medical Pet Shirt can be used after any surgical procedure to cover up the wound so that your pet can't lick or scratch the wound, and it ultimately supports the healing process. And so it is a great alternative to the cone of shame. And we have all seen the dog that's walking down the street with this cone on their head. And we do feel a little bit sorry for them because we know what that means has happened. But we also, realize they're not enjoying their favorite pastime, which is kind of sniffing at every tree and flower they pass, because this cone is banging against the sidewalk as they walk along. And I can picture that comic strip right now in my mind. And that last frame, if that dog could talk, he'd be kind of cocking his head and looking at his owner and going like, next time, choose the shirt. And so our team actually developed an entire marketing campaign focused exactly on that. What would your pet choose? The cone of shame or the shirt? And the campaign targeted both pet owners and veterinarians with messaging on how the shirt could improve quality of life during the healing process. And so what we saw when we went out with that is that last year in 2022, we saw a year-over-year growth of 10% in the number of clinics that began purchasing the shirt. And we saw 13% growth in the average size, or the average clinic order size. And so what we noticed is that as clinics tried the shirt, they began to order more when they saw the benefit that it could bring to their pet patient. Another great example is our GI portfolio. So GI upset is one of the main reasons for a non-routine visit to the vet. In many instances, the issue resolves itself in a few days. But let's face it, when your dog has diarrhea, you don't want to wait for a few days. You're calling the vet, you're racing to get there, which means you're canceling your afternoon Zoom appointments. You just want something now. And so for many years, that standard of care has been antibiotics, and antibiotics can take up to 48 hours to work and are actually harmful to the pet's gut. And so we have gone out to change the narrative on how to treat GI upset. So Enteroaid is a Health Canada approved, natural, safe, effective paste that contains a clay which binds the toxins to work quickly without harming the gut. And it's really well positioned as an alternative to antibiotics. As a pet owner, you buy the product from your veterinary, you take it home, you put it on the shelf in the bathroom. Next time your dog gets sick, instead of running around trying to get him into the vet clinic, you just run upstairs, grab the product, treat right away. You kind of get relief for both you and your sick pet. For the vet, they can feel confident that they are offering and recommending a safe and effective solution that will help their patient and the pet owner. But equally important is that it frees up their time so that they can stay focused on their pre-booked appointments without trying to squeeze you in and juggle, or they can actually deal with that emergency. That dog just ate chocolate that's come in the door right behind you and needs treatment right now. And so again, when we went out with this targeted messaging, what we saw is 104% growth in clinics purchasing Enteroaid and 150% increase in the average clinic order size in 2022 over 2021. And the last example I would just share is COMPOSURE PRO. And COMPOSURE PRO launched just over a year ago. It is again a Health Canada approved chewable for behavioral issues such as anxiety due to car trips or vet visits or thunderstorms. It has been shown to work quickly and last up to 4 hours, which makes it a great alternative to prescription medication. It also doesn't require a loading dose, which means that you don't need to start treatment days or weeks before the event. You can start a few hours before the event actually happens. And so last year, in the first 10 months of launch, we saw a third of clinics in Canada purchase the product, and over 2/3 of those clinics were purchasing multiple times. And so with all the changes that are happening in work, in school routines, and just the general high level of stress that seems to be in society today, this product really resonated with pet parents that were looking for a natural, safe solution that wasn't a prescription drug. And so these are just a few examples of how our integrated sales and marketing approach led to an increase in reach and frequency into clinics and drove growth in sales. However, we know there is still an opportunity for further growth by adding new clinics to purchase a product. Once they recognize the benefit of that product and use it again and again, we see an increase in the order size. But that also means there's an opportunity for us to then add in a second or third product into the mix so that we're expanding the overall portfolio of products that a clinic is purchasing once we have that traction and success with that first product. Another way that we're supporting vets, clinics, and patients is through our custom prescription medication. So Trutina is not your typical retail pharmacy where you walk into the bricks and mortar store, you drop your prescription off with the pharmacy assistant to get it filled, and you go shopping for your toothpaste or your shampoo. So we operate a leading Canadian compounding pharmacy. This pharmacy supplies vets and patients across Canada with custom formulations. And we have a dedicated facility that can make sterile and non-sterile products in capsules, gels, creams, paste, powders, or injectables, all depending on the prescription that is sent in to us either online or by phone, and the preference of the vet in the patient. And once the product is compounded in our facility, it is then shipped out directly to the clinic or to the patient for office or home use. As indicated by our financial highlights shown here, the company has experienced growth in both revenue and adjusted EBITDA over the last few years. We ended 2022 at about $22 million in revenue and $3.5 million in adjusted EBITDA. This growth was largely driven by organic growth in the animal health business, as well as the acquisition of the pharmacy business. And so I'd just like to remind you that the pharmacy business was acquired on September 1st of 2021. So the fiscal 2021 revenue and adjusted EBITDA only includes a 4-month contribution from that pharmacy business. Revenue for the first quarter of 2023 increased 17% to $6 million over the same period in 2022. Again, the increases were mainly due to organic growth that was from our established as well as our compounded products, as well as new products that had been introduced during 2022. Adjusted EBITDA increased to $0.9 million in the first quarter versus $0.8 million in the first quarter of 2022. So we have assembled a great team of accomplished industry professionals that have been the driving force behind the company thus far and are capable of supporting the business in the next chapter. I joined Grey Wolf 6 years ago. My background is business and corporate development at Paladin Labs, followed by a couple of years in healthcare equity research. Kevin Palmer is our CFO. He is a CPA and he joined us in October of 2020. Kevin has over 25 years of finance and operations experience in pharmaceutical, medical device, and biotech companies. Ian is our Chief Veterinary Medical Officer and co-founder of the company. He's obviously been with us since the very beginning, and he continues to provide us support on regulatory, marketing, and medical front. He also still practices a couple days a month in clinic, so he's keeping his hand and his finger on the pulse of what's happening in the field. And Murray Roach is our Chief Commercial Officer. He joined Grey Wolf in 2019. He has over 25 years of experience in pharmaceutical commercial operations. He's really been instrumental in building out our sales and marketing team and strategy. And Brendan Mayer-Wren joined us in July of last year. He oversees our pharmacy business. So Brendan is a pharmacist with over 15 years of experience in managing compounding pharmacy facilities and their expansions into new products and therapeutic areas. We also have a seasoned board with extensive experience across a variety of industries and areas. So Sean Aston is our chair. He's principal at Bloom Burton and brings to the table extensive background in capital markets. Ian has remained on our board as we went public. Rob Harris has been on our board now for over 6 years. Rob has extensive experience in the pharmaceutical industry, starting as a sales rep at Ayerst Animal Health, and then later business development at BioVale, finally the founder and CEO of Tribute Pharmaceuticals. Gillian Javine is a CPA and chair of our audit committee. She has over 25 years of professional experience in the investment management industry. He also serves as corporate director of a number of public companies, including Tourmaline Oil Corp and Advantage Energy. And finally, Diane Bourassa is also a CPA and the former general manager of VETERINARIANS Canada, which is a French animal health company. So she brings to the board a solid background in finance and operations in the animal health market. And Grey Wolf has 31 million common shares outstanding, as well as 5.3 million outstanding options and warrants to acquire common shares at various prices. Our current bank debt was entered into with the acquisition of the pharmacy business. It is at a favorable blended fixed rate of 4.7% until September 2026, based on a 10-year amortization. Annual payments are about $1.4 million, and those are funded through cash that's generated from our operations. And the outstanding amount at the end of March 31st was $9.9 million. At the end of the Q1 of 2023, we had $6 million in cash and a net debt of about $3.8 million. So we have a solid balance sheet to finance our ongoing operations. I know it's been said many times, we've come a long way in the last 4 years, yet we continue to believe the resilience of the industry and the opportunities we're seeing just contribute to a bright future for our company. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for listening in on our story today and turn it back to Paul for any questions.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Angela. I want to remind everybody that's listening, if you've got a question for Angela, please use the chat function and we will ask the question. Angela, the way I see it, I sort of jotted down 3 levers of growth: organic, new products, as far as new products in a pipeline, and then M&A. Try to just give us a few more sort of ideas in terms of where that goes. I'm trying to get around the idea of what's your addressable market right now for your current products, and then what does the landscape look like for new products? Yeah,
so the addressable market in terms of where we're at in the marketplace right now, if we look at the vet channel, it's probably about $1.5 billion in Canada. And this would cover everything, all the products, pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, consumables, everything that's kind of sold into the vet space. And so we sell across that. We know that our products right now are not sold in all clinics, and there's roughly 3,400 clinics across the market. And so depending on, whether it's a new product or an older product, there's still runway on the clinics that we can. Really been a key focus of our sales and marketing team is to kind of increase that penetration and just increase the order size. And as I said during my presentation, we have also just become a very interesting partner for people that are looking to enter the Canadian marketplace, because we offer this one-stop idea. We can handle all of the regulatory side for them, so we take that burden off of the partners that are looking to come in. But we also have a commercial platform, so we have this national sales team, we have this dedicated marketing team. We've developed a KOL network when it comes to just standing behind it and putting the products out there. So we're one of the more active companies in this space when it comes to launching new products, and I think we've you can see that again with 9 products in the last 4 years and 5 in the last 2 years. And so we will continue to just launch. The cadence is going to vary, obviously, from year to year, depending on when they come out of the regulatory process and that. But we will just continue to add new products into this platform that we have. And I would say the same thing on the acquisition side. That's something that we keep our eye on quite a lot, and we'll look at opportunities as they come by. Again, I can't say what the timing of those will look like, but we are actively looking in that space as a means to complement what our existing business is. And again, we've been one of the more active players there in the Canadian marketplace, outside of the private equity groups that seem to also come in.
So you sort of touched on a couple of my next questions. One is, as far as acquisitions, what sort of areas would you look at? Like, are you looking for product acquisitions? Are you looking for service acquisitions? Your last one is more of a service acquisition. Give us a sense of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so I would say our last acquisition, it looks like a service because it's a pharmacy, but it opened the whole equine market for us. So it brought in that ability to tap into veterinarians that focus on equines or in that mixed practice, and particularly in the rural space. So that's a whole new species and channel that kind of opens up for us. And so what that also means is that we have the ability to take some products that are in our portfolio right now to that group of veterinarians, but we can also go out and in-license or acquire other products that are specifically for equines, because we now have that access route. It adds new product portfolio to our mix. So I would say there's a number of things. again, the acquisitions that we've done so far have either added new species, they've added new products, so we can look at product acquisitions, or take us into new therapeutic areas. We haven't even looked at other channels within the market and within the animal health industry. So there is a lot of different opportunities out there for us.
What challenges do you face? What sort of keeps you up at night?
Regulatory is always a big challenge. You're dealing with Health Canada and their timelines and their ways of looking and reviewing things, or you're dealing with the pharmacy colleges, and their ever-changing guidelines around how they view new product opportunities. But we have a really good working relationship with them. So, that's the other thing I would say is we're seeing a bit of a shortage of staff, and this is happening across multiple different industries. So it's no different in the vet space. There's been a bit of a shortage on staff in the clinics. And so that doesn't mean that the demand for services has gone down. If anything, the demand for the services actually remains very strong. But this really presents an opportunity as well for us, because our products are well positioned to support clinics. And they can do this, as I mentioned, on the GI side. The vet can send something home. They don't have to see the pet patient in that case, which means that they can keep up with whatever else they're seeing. And so we have other products that are similar to that. So it really creates an opportunity for us to go in there and say, hey, we can help you. We know that you don't necessarily have time to see all of these, but you don't have to in these cases.
Now, you came from Paladin. Paladin was an amazingly successful, stock, but business. How is this business similar, and how's it different to Paladin?
Yeah. So there are a lot of differences in the animal health market to the human side. But I look at the animal health industry when I first came on board 6 years ago, and I realized that it's probably about 10 years behind the human health industry. And what I mean by that is that, at the end, when Paladin was acquired, there was a lot of competitors looking, and a lot of specialty pharma companies that were looking at the same products and trying to launch within the same space. And there was rules and regulations that had come in. You don't have that within the animal health market right now. So we're sitting right in this really unique spot where we have the big global players that are bringing in their global brands and playing in mainly in the flea, tick, heartworm vaccine space, which is areas that we have stayed out. But we're not a catalog company where we go in and say, hey, what do you need to purchase today? Because I have a million different SKUs. We sit right in this middle. And it's a little bit sparse on competitors in that middle space, but we come in with a value proposition behind our products, backed by key opinion leaders and educational programs, and a message that goes, hey, we can help you, and we can help you provide that better care. And so we've been very active in that space. So I think we're right in a unique place right now.
And I mean, you mentioned the word competitors. Really, are there any? What can you tell us about the competition in your part of the market?
Yeah. So as I said, you've got big global players, and then you've got I would call them distributor or wholesaler like companies, where they have a catalog of products, but they don't necessarily have the same strategic sales and marketing backing behind them. They're just distributing whatever they've got in their portfolio. And then you've got us and maybe one or two other smaller players in this space. But again, we have taken the approach, and this has come from my background and Murray's background and Kevin's background on the human side, bringing those best practices in, going, okay, if we're going to launch products, we need to do it with key opinion leader support. And so we're taking a playbook, a page out of the big company's playbook and applying it in a small way that's creative for a small company to do so as a means to break in an area where our products are niche, and where we have a differentiating factor on all of our products. So in our GI, again, we've got, the most absorptive clay that works. It's a natural solution. Same with our COMPOSURE Pro. You don't need any loading dose, so you can just kind of take it on that day that the incident is happening. I would say with our medical pet shirts, again, it's a unique opportunity to actually use a shirt that is a really good quality and specifically built for a surgical purpose.
Now, you mentioned new products. You mentioned you're working on some new things. I've got a question here that just asks a little bit more about R&D. Sort of what areas are you working in, and do you expect to increase your R&D spend in the future?
So just to be clear, we don't do any research and development, so we don't have any R&D spend per se on that front. On the animal health side of our business, we have partnered with US and European companies that are selling the products in their home markets. And in some cases, they've been selling the products for decades. They've just never brought them to the Canadian marketplace until we came along and provided them that kind of one-stop shop. So we've got agreements in place to bring those products in, but they've done all of the research behind them, and they've developed and manufactured. On the pharmacy side of the business, again, it's not traditional R&D in the sense that you have to do clinical trials and studies and testing and all of that. We are just making, we compound products by mixing together different ingredients according to a formula that's really based on what we're given by the veterinarian, when they ask for something.
Gotcha. And then just a couple more questions. One is regard to the warrants that you have. When do the warrants expire?
Warrants would expire in August of 2024.
So about another year. Okay.
Yes, about another year. So those warrants were part of the financing that came through in September of 2021. So I believe it's August of 2024.
Okay, fair enough. And then one last question before we start to wrap up here. Do you plan to expand into the US or any other countries?
No, and that is a good question. And up to now, our focus has really been on the Canadian marketplace. I think there's still a lot of runway that we're seeing there. It's not to say that we haven't seen opportunities come across our desk in the US. But at this point in time, we've really just focused on what's happening in Canada and where we can go there. I mean, I've learned in my BD days to never say never, but the Canadian marketplace is not, in our view, is not tapped out yet on where we can go.
Good to know. Good to know. Perfect. Okay, before we wrap up here, like investors looking at the company now and starting to pay attention, what do you think are the key things we should watch for? Maybe some key metrics or maybe some catalysts. What do you think makes the most sense to really pay attention to?
Yeah, so again, I come back to just this continued execution of what we said we're going to do with a focus on organically growing the business, and this includes the top line growth. Over the last couple of years, we've had a steady stream of product launches, and so I mentioned that cadence could vary, but we expect to be continuing to launch new products. This is just a pillar to our organic growth strategy. And then acquisitions, we've done 2 in the last 4 years. And again, I can't talk to the timing of any of those. And I can't really control that necessarily, but we do continue to just look at opportunities on a very regular basis.
Fantastic. This has been great. What we always like to do is we like to let you have a parting message. Is there any key takeaway you want to make sure everybody walks away with today?
Yeah, and I think I would go back to our investment highlights. So the first is the animal health industry. We operate in a very historically resilient industry, and with that demographic shift to millennials and that really strong human-animal bond, people are continuing to spend on the health and well-being of their pets. The other thing I would highlight again is organic growth. We were founded on the mission to bring to market products to support vets, pets, and clinics, and to provide best care for their pets. And so we'll continue to do this and drive the growth both through our current product portfolio and new product launches, and then scalability. So we've demonstrated that when presented with acquisition opportunities, we have the ability to execute and to compete with the other players that are active in that space.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you, Angela. We've been speaking to Angela Cechetto, CEO of Grey Wolf Animal Health, again, symbol WOLF on the Venture Exchange. Angela, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to catching up with you in the near future.
Well, thank you, Paul. Much appreciated on the time.
Thank you.